What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. We're going to be going over the best residential zero-turn mowers of 2023. This is going to be part 4, Husqvarna versus Toro. If you've been watching my past videos, the Cub Cadet Ultima ZT1 is currently in the top position. We're going to be comparing the Husqvarna and the Toros, and I'm going to be considering the price, the engine, the transmissions, the decks, special features, and things of that nature. So first off, let's get started with the Husqvarna. First up, we got the Z242F. Now, one thing I noticed on this one is this tag said that this mower had the Kawasaki 18 horsepower engine, where you'll see later that this one actually has the Kawasaki 21.5 horsepower motor. And as I looked online, they don't no longer have this one. They only have the Z242F Special Edition that it says it only comes with the Kawasaki. So maybe this mower that I'm looking at in this video was a 2022 model. But let's compare it. We're starting up at $34.99. And first thing I noticed on this one was it's got a front headlight, some nice wide front tires, very nice. Everything I'm seeing, I'm pretty much liking. Notice on this deck how it's got this 1/4 inch reinforcement on the bottom edge there, this deck. And also it's got a metal cover on that spindle on both sides for each spindle. The chute was kind of like a plastic type material, not very flexible. The blade has a really high lift, and as you see there, and also around that spindle underneath here, it's got quite a bit of reinforcement there. Now this is a 10 gauge deck. You lift up this panel. I didn't really like how this foot plate sits. I'll show you that in a moment. But overall, it's a flat deck. You can't really complain about that. It's not a lot of area for water or dirt or sand to kind of accumulate. And also on these handles, I noticed it's got these nice rubber boots here. The seat feels pretty nice, but it's nothing special compared to the other models, very standard. And I lift the seat up, and I did notice how easy it is to get to the battery. But one thing I did like is how the wires are nice and wrapped and wire loomed. Everything seemed to be nice and tucked away very neatly. And you can see right there, it's got the drive belt tensioner spring is on top of the frame. And as I mentioned before, how it said it had that 18 horsepower Kawasaki, you could see right here, it's got the FR651 21.5 horsepower motor. Next, I always like to check what type of hydros, and these are running the Hydro Gear ZT2200. That is not a Warner clutch. I'm not sure what brand clutch this is. But overall, pretty nice looking unit. Got a 3.5 gallon gas tank on the right hand side. Very simple instrument cluster. And again, that's the Z42F. Framework has a little bit of a gap there. Probably going to collect some dirt and debris. But one thing I would prefer to see is a foot pedal instead of this hand lever, but it actually worked out pretty well. It wasn't very hard. Got a nice cup holder there. Overall, I really like this unit, especially for the price. And one last look at this deck. I do like how it has that little plastic bumper on the edge, and there's those blades with a very high arched, high cut lift blade there. Also grease fittings on the front caster arm bearings, and also grease fittings on the caster wheel bearings themselves. And these are not solid tires, they are pneumatic tires. All right, next up, we're going to be taking a look at the Z248F. This one has the Kohler 7000 series motor. little bit wider deck. This is the 48-inch deck. That motor is a 26 horsepower. Still, it has the steel covered spindle housing covers. Same type of discharge chute. Same blades. Now those blades are probably a little shorter since this is 3 spindles instead of the previous model we looked at had 2 spindles. And those spindles are a cast iron housing, which I think is really good versus the aluminum housings like you'll see on most other mowers. And there's that 26 horsepower Kohler motor, which I do like Kohler motors quite a bit. I think they're great. I'm not a big fan of the hand lever deck lift, but I noticed this seat had hand rest where this one doesn't. Now here in just a moment, I'm going to show you another model of the Z242F that didn't have, hand rest, arm rest on the seats, but it's still got the same 3.5 gallon tank on the right hand side. Same hydros, ZT2200s, non-serviceable. Now we go to lift up this plate and you can get easy access to that deck. Again, a nice flat deck. And this is what I was talking about earlier. It just didn't seem like this was a good fit. It just kind of seemed a little awkward fitting that plate into that foot plate into place. But when I sat down on the seat and even just moving it right there, the deck lift was actually pretty easy. So for a hand lever lift deck handle, it wasn't too bad. Frame's nice. I think that was like a 3-inch by 2-inch frame there. And again, this is that I'm showing you the one with the 26 horsepower Kohler, and this was $3,700. And I'm going to show you this next one here in just a moment. Same deck width, everything was the same, except this one has a Kawasaki motor, and the seat is a little different. You see how it doesn't have the armrest? Three-year warranty, limited lifetime warranty on the deck. Z242F, and it's got a 21.5 horsepower motor, just like the one, the very first one we looked at. Same engine, same transmissions. Everything's basically the same, except the seat is a little different than the one we just looked at. Like I said, this one had the armrest. So I wasn't sure if this was a different model. This might be the 2022 or 2023. Same transmissions. And those are pretty common amongst all these ones in this price range. And this one was actually $100 less. But this one didn't have the headlight like the other one. This one's got that front light. And we're going to take a look at some other mowers. And in the future videos, we're going to be taking a look at these riding mowers. I used to have a Husqvarna riding mower. I really liked it. And these are the only riding mowers other than the Cub Cadets that have fabricated decks on the riding mowers. And I want to give a special thanks to Cobb's Triangle Tractor for letting me take a look at their Husqvarna mowers. I'm going to have more mowers I'm going to show you from this dealer. So next up, we're going to be taking a look at some Toro time cutters available at, this model was at Tractor Supply. And I'm looking at the price here. First thing I noticed right away was how narrow these front caster tires were on this mower. And I look down here, look at the deck. It's also a 10 gauge deck. I'm going to take a peek here underneath here. And it looks like we have some aluminum housing, spindles, very little, reinforcement. Some what I think were kind of goofy looking little carter pins here on some Phillips screws on this little plastic spindle housing. Just wasn't very impressed with this at all. I thought this was just kind of goofy. Anyway, it does have a hand lever type deck height adjustment. Not the best. Just, it reminded me of that generic John Deere mower, and so I lowered it so I could put this pin back onto place for this spindle housing. As I'm looking at this deck, I'm really not impressed with the Toros. I know some guys are gonna dislike this, but one thing that I didn't like at all about it was how you could not lift that front plate up to get access to the deck. And that reinforcement around that bottom edge of that deck was not very impressive. These handles were very thin. They didn't seem very quality built. And when I lift the seat up, this wiring, look at the wiring right here, just exposed, going right to that key switch. It's not organized. It's not, it just looked incomplete. You got the fuel gauge there, so you got the translucent tank there, fuel tank's on the left side. We do have the Kohler 22 horsepower 7000 series motor on here. Not bad. The rear plate, everything, it just kept reminding me of the prior to the 2023 John Deere Z300s. That little release pin that I just showed you was so flimsy. And then look at the tires. Look how narrow the rear tires are compared to that bad boy right next to it here. But my main thing was I just didn't like the foot plate, how you can't access the deck. For $36.99, I was thinking, okay, let me show you what you could get for basically $3,700. You come down here. They had some bad boys here at this dealership. There's that MZ Rambler. They had these, also those electric ones. But, my top contender so far was the Cub Cadet. $3,700, same price. Man, look at this. Look at this mower compared to that one. You're getting headlights, a better deck, fabricated deck. Look at the frame on this. For the same price as that Time Cutter. Now, Toros they do have some great commercial mowers. Now, but in this video, we're just comparing the residential mowers, from the $3,500 to $4,000 price range. And right now, this is the top contender. So we're going to get back to here. We got a 3.25 inch wide versus the, almost 5 inches, what makes contact with the ground, 4.5 versus 3.25 here. So let's go back to the Cub Cadet. I'm going to walk him back over here to the Cub Cadet. It's got big, nice, wide front tires. Those narrow tires are going to cause ruts in your grass. And this is the same price point. You're getting these nice wide tires, 4 inches wide there is what's going to make contact with the ground. And so now we're going to look at a higher end Toro for $4,800. Still no easy access to the deck. Nicer seat, better deck lift, slightly better deck in my opinion. and we got a 24 horsepower Kohler series. Again, the wiring looks like a hot mess. I'm not impressed with the wiring. It just looks incomplete. Like, I'm wondering, I was sitting here thinking, like, is this thing fully assembled or what? I'm just not impressed with these Toros at all. The reinforcement on the deck, $4,800 for this thing. I feel like you could get a better buy. I did like how it has the foot deck height adjuster where you can lift it up with the foot. Taking a look at these hydros, nothing special here. I just feel like $4,800. You could get this bad boy for $100, $150. The ZT Avenger, much better mower in my opinion. Wider tires. You still get the Kohler 7000 series. Just looks a lot better built, more complete. Higher quality mower in my opinion for that price. The Toro, I don't get it. I mean, I know they make some great commercial mowers, but again, we're looking at the residential mowers for the price point. All right, guys, time for the final numbers here. So the Cub Cadet Ultima ZT1 46-inch has been the #1 pick so far, coming at a price at $36.99. Let's compare that to the Husqvarna Z242, all right? Then we're going to compare it to some other Husqvarnas. So right here, let's see what we got. All right, so on the Husqvarna, we're coming out $200 cheaper. As far as the deck, we got an 11-gauge fabricated deck on the Cub Cadet. With the Husqvarna, we got a 42-inch 10-gauge, also a fabricated deck with 1/4-inch reinforcement on the edge plus bottom side reinforcement. And again, lifetime warranty, limited lifetime warranty on that deck. So Husqvarna gets the win on that. The transmissions are the same. The Husqvarna, you can get the Kawasaki versus the Kohler with on the Cub Cadet. 22 horsepower on the Cub Cadet versus 21.5. I'll give it to the Cub Cadet. Half a horsepower. It's not that big of a win. But anyway, we'll give that to the Cub Cadet. Both of them have a 3.5-gallon tank. Now here's where the Cub Cadet wins another category. It has a 3-year unlimited hours versus the 3-year 300-hour. But again, we got that limited lifetime warranty on that deck. As far as the pros on that Husqvarna, I did like the cast iron spindles and I like the metal spindle covers. I did not like the foot plate and I don't like the lower rear bumper versus I do like the frame on the Cub Cadet better. So, I mean, it's kind of a toss-up here. I mean, I could see it going either way. But for me, I would probably go with the Husqvarna. I'd rather have that Kawasaki. I'd rather have that lifetime warranty on the deck because everything else is going to be the same as far as, the transmission and everything. You're not going to probably get over 300 hours in 3 years. All right, so but that's comparing it to a mower with a 42-inch deck that's $200 cheaper. So let's compare it to a Husqvarna, 2 other Husqvarnas that have similar price tags. All right, so I'm going to actually put this on this side. Let's compare it to the 248. So we have a 2-inch wider deck. So we get a win there. Still coming out $100 cheaper if we get the 248 with the Kawasaki. Again, another win on the deck. Transmission's the same. Horsepower, very close. We both got Kawasaki's on this. Everything's pretty much the same. I'm still going to give it my personal opinion, I'm going to go with that Husqvarna over that Cub Cadet. Even though I think the Cub Cadet does look a lot better, it's got I think I love the frame on that Cub Cadet. So I mean, even if I chose the Cub Cadet over the Husqvarna, I couldn't blame you. Continuing on, let's compare it now to the 248 with the Kohler motor. Now we're coming out at the same price point. 10 gauge deck, transmission's the same, both got Kohler motors. Kohler, 26 horsepower on that Z248, same gas tank size. Cub Cadet got that unlimited warranty, unlimited hours. Again, I don't think you're going to get over 300 hours on a residential mower in 3 years. Like again, you know, I do like that frame. It's a real close competition, really. You know, with it being such a close competition between that Cub Cadet and the Husqvarna, at that point it would kind of come down to my feeling of how I felt with the dealers. You know, that dealer relationship, you'll get different experiences. No matter what dealer you go to, it just kind of depends on the employees there and how they operate. You know, you'll get, you know, I'll see comments all the time where there's, I'll never go to another John Deere dealer. I had a bad experience at this one dealer. I'll never buy John Deere again. Where they just had a bad, you know, experience with the personnel there, you know, the staff there. It's not John Deere or it's not that brand. It's, you know, the dealers are different, you know, different management and everything, salespeople, that nature. I wouldn't think anything about buying the Cub Cadet versus the Husqvarna. Personally, looking at the stats, I'm kind of swaying a little bit more towards the Husqvarna. So that's my personal opinion. That's going to wrap up, you know, this whole residential zero turn comparison. Hope you guys will like the video. Look at those other videos. The next one, I would really probably consider that Steel brand. It had that suspension. But man, I'm going to show you the new Husqvarna Excite 350. It's a brand new one. It's in the $5,500 price range, and it is blowing away everything else in that price range category. And I'm going to be doing a video on that soon. So I hope you'll like the video, subscribe, and I hope this helped you guys out if you're trying to kind of compare which maybe residential zero turn you're interested in buying. And I'll have more videos like this coming soon, guys, and hope you enjoy the video. Thanks.